evening. I'd like to call the order of the regular meeting of Monday, July 24th, 2023, 7 o'clock. I would ask all who have not signed in to please do so. Please turn off all your cell phones and other electronic devices. Please conduct any private conversations in the hallway or outside. The meeting room is equipped with an inductive loop hearing assistance system. You'll be able to hear conversations throughout the microphones on hearing aids with a T-switch. Also, emergency exits can be found to your right and left. This meeting is also being live streamed via YouTube with text commenting available. If everyone would please rise and join me in saluting the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have just a couple of announcements. First, Deputy Supervisor Marin is necessarily absent tonight. Also, we have some employee birthdays for the month of August. We have 3 birthdays, all coming at the end of the month. On the 24th will be Scott Ewell's birthday, the 25th, Chad Brown, and the 31st would be Gina Coe. Also, the 14th of August is our pay bills only. That's an 8 a.m. meeting. And then our regular scheduled meeting will be on August 28th. Tonight we have 3 public hearings, and we'll start with the first one. I'm going to ask our town clerk to read the public hearing notice.
A notice for the public hearing for the adoption of the 2023 Sanitary Sewer Master Plan, which was held on May 8th, 2023, will be reopened on the 24th day of July at 7 p.m. in the Victor Town Hall, and said notice was published in the Daily Messenger newspaper on July 7th and also posted on the signboard at the Town Hall and the Victor Village Hall.
I would ask for Wes Petty to come forward first. He's our Labella representative who's been working on this master plan, just to give us a little bit of overview on what we're discussing tonight, and then I'll open it up for any public comment.
Thank you. Wes Petty from Labella Associates. Happy to be here with you to present maybe a brief update to the sewer master plan that was presented earlier this year, and given some feedback we received from the public, notably around the geographic area just north of Main Street Fishers, the Kettle Ridge Farm, along Log Cabin Road. So as you may recall, the draft sewer plan that we have in front of us, what it does is it takes into consideration the 2016 Farmington Victor sewer plan that was assembled by MRB Group and Labella Associates together, and pulls in the recommendations for that plan, which was to identify potential new service areas in 2016, right? That plan looked at potential new service areas, and it also looks at, or what the comprehensive plan from, or this plan, this sewer plan, the 2023 draft sewer plan, looks at also the comprehensive plan that was initially adopted in 2015. So basically, it takes those 2 plans and kind of assembles them, and now you have one resource to go to when you might be presented with a project that's looking to expand into an area that is not serviced by the sanitary sewer district at this point. So I'm going to key you in a little bit on the map here. Get up to the Victor parcels. And the area that we want to key in on is what the sanitary sewer master plan identifies as Area 11. And you can see that on the cover page of what I handed out tonight, right? The draft document, the 2023 draft document. And this is not the full document. This is only the portion that suggests or would change compared to what we previously looked at. And if we zoom in here on the Main Street Fishers area and Log Cabin Road, which is in this location here, screen, if I can turn the roads on. So the 2016 sewer master plan identified that area in green, right over here, as a potential area that the town might consider expanding its sewer infrastructure into. It doesn't necessarily mean that the town was interested in upfronting the cost of extending the district and extending sewer infrastructure there, but it was identified because of the existing, or what was the existing zoning overlay density that was permitted in that area, and really looked at the areas that were providing more density in the residential component of the zoning map versus the lower density area. So, and the reason, you'll notice that this parcel right here, I don't know if, maybe I'll pull out this parcel right here that's white, that's the Kettle Ridge Farm parcel, where we had a resident identify that they would like for this particular map to be extended to have that included in the potential district. So, and I think the reason why that was excluded at the time was because it wasn't one of these smaller, more residential, with a higher residential density that was along Main Street Fishers and close to Main Street Fishers. I think that's why it was excluded. And I think also, if we look at the previous draft of this sewer plan, it identified so this was the previous recommendation that we had a public hearing on earlier this year. None of that area is identified as green. And I'd like to review this draft document with you so you have an understanding as to why that was the case. So if we flip to page 93, it's the very last page in this Area 11 packet here that I gave you. And this is just other factors and conclusion for Area 11. So we found that the extensive potential sewer district expansion in Area 11 identified by the Farmington Victor sewer study is almost exclusively comprised of residential parcels that the comprehensive plan recommendations would change from the present intermediate density overlay designation to an overlay limiting residential development to only the lowest density instead. And the draft document said, as the Farmington Victor sewer study purposely avoided identifying any potential expansions with areas designated as being within a lowest residential density overlay, and given the potential for the known potential for sewer district extensions to induce higher density growth within rural areas where lower densities would be preferred, the extensive potential district expansion identified in the Farmington Victor sewer study in this area should be abandoned. And then furthermore, requests for district extensions within Area 11 residential zones should be discouraged, scrutinized very closely, and likely refused in all instances. So that's why the previous draft showed that exclusion of this area for potential district extension. As considering the comprehensive plan, trying to keep the character and the fabric of that existing neighborhood so as not to induce more growth in that area as a result of extending sewer. However, so we've made some changes here. We've suggested some potential changes if you want to move forward with them. And we've said requests for district extensions within Area 11 residential zones should be scrutinized very closely and likely refused in instances where the town board finds that district extension would require a new sanitary sewer pump station that results in significant long-term operational and maintenance costs, combined with the potential for new sewer infrastructure to induce additional growth in an otherwise rural area. However, consideration may be given to incorporating an expansion of the sanitary sewer infrastructure to the area along Log Cabin Road that extends beyond what is identified in the 2016 plan to incorporate 515 Log Cabin Road, otherwise known as Kettle Ridge Farm, a popular agritourism destination within the town. At this time, it is not the town's intent to initiate such an extension, and the town does not currently intend to upfront the costs associated with constructing such an extension to service Kettle Ridge Farm. Upon preliminary review, the elevation of Kettle Ridge Farm is much lower than the closest existing manhole invert on Main Street Fishers by about 90 feet. It would appear that gravity sewer to the town's existing system would not be an option for Kettle Ridge Farm. So, and then just to conclude, careful scrutiny in this area is particularly important given the immediate adjacency of the residential areas that the comp plan would designate for only the lowest density and the adjoining non-residential area where sanitary sewer is present. So that's kind of that's the substantive version of what the changes would look like if you want to move forward with that. And also accompanying this packet, I gave you a map that has circled on the left side re-inclusion of a portion of what the 2016 study identified, which now colors in that Kettle Ridge Farm parcel up here. And then also just for consideration, just so you can see graphically where some of this information came from, this is a comprehensive plan map that I've pulled up on the screen here. And you can see this brown shading along Log Cabin Road, and this blue line is just a water line, but this brown shading equates to what is identified in the future land use map as rural conservation density. Furthermore, this particular map, which adds to that previous map I just showed, shows this blue crosshatch over top of that rural conservation or rural conservation density, which is basically suggesting that the town could consider reducing density from medium density to rural. So that's really the foundation as to why in Labella's previous draft, we had pulled this area out of the potential expansion area. So another thing, let's see, I've got one more. Worthy of note, this is the Town of Victor excerpt from the Natural Resources Inventory. This is the co-occurrence map. You may recall hearing about a co-occurrence map and various co-occurrence locations. So Log Cabin Road, it's a blurry map here, but you can see Log Cabin Road is here. And this IC-12, which means Irondequoit Creek Watershed, this is co-occurrence area number 12. That's this red polygon with a yellow outline. And that is characterized by steep slopes, wetlands, and woodlands. So that's over top a portion of the Kettle Ridge Farm. There are some Kettle Lakes back there as well. But I just wanted to provide you more information as to the character of that area so that if you want to consider what you understand, just so you understand what we're looking at, if you consider amending the plan. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. I'll leave this up here in case somebody has something that they want to share from the public.
Thank you, Wes. That was informative. At this time, is there anyone here this evening who would like to speak for or against the local law or on this sewer extension master plan?
Good evening. I'm Joe Hurley, 249 Benson Road, and owner of Kettle Ridge Farm. And I just want to say that I appreciate the reconsideration after the comments that I submitted for the May 4th hearing. I'm not sure I understand everything that was said tonight, and I appreciate the practical difficulties of ever getting the sewer to that location, but at least it sounds like it's going to be a possibility in some way in the future. And the reason it's important to me is because, you know, we're like any business or most businesses, we're always thinking about possible expansion in order to keep the business profitable. And so there are ways for us to expand the activities at Kettle Ridge Farm, which is sewer. The lack of a sewer could really limit the number of possibilities that we have. So that's, if you had any other questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this subject? Anyone from the town board at this time? We're going to keep this public hearing open. Supervisor Maron's not here, and I want him to be able to chime in on it. He's just coming back from a conference. So we will keep this public hearing open, and we will discuss it at the next regular board meeting. We'll have it open again. So that's the first of our 3 public hearings, and I would ask our town clerk to read the second public hearing notice.
Notice of public hearing, proposed local law to amend the Uniform Construction Code scheduled for the 24th day of July, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Victor Town Hall, was published and posted in the Daily Messenger newspaper on June 27th, 2023, and a copy also posted on the signboard of the Town Hall, Victor Village Hall, and on our website.
And I would ask if anyone from the public has any comments on this. Again, anyone from the public wish to speak for or against this? And how about town board? Okay, I would entertain a motion to close this public hearing then.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We will close public hearing number 2. And then the last public hearing for this evening, town clerk, Mrs. Bodine.
Notice of public hearing for the proposed local law to amend Conifer Village at Eastview Planned Development District, scheduled for the 24th day of July, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Victor Town Hall, was published and posted in the Daily Messenger newspaper on July 5th, 2023, and a copy was also posted on the signboard of the Town Hall and the Victor Village Hall and our website. Postcards were mailed to the residents within properties within 1,000 feet of 7410 Forest Trail.
And once again, I'll ask if anyone from the public cares to comment for or against this. No one from the public? Anyone from the town board? Okay, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing on public hearing number 3.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, then, I would ask for a motion to return to our regular session.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, first item on our regular meeting tonight would be the approval of our June 26th regular town board meeting and the July 10 pay the bills meeting.
If we could split those out, because I was not here for the payment of bills, I'll abstain from that.
Okay? Yeah. All right, so let's do the June 26th first.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then I'll take a motion for July 10th.
So moved.
I got to second it.
Yeah.
And
You got to second it because we weren't there. We're going to abstain, right?
Right,
Yeah. Have enough votes to pass.
we don't, because Jack's not here.
You're gonna have to push that off to,
All right. Will do. All right. And we will do a payment of bills. I would ask Town Clerk Karen Bodine to read the payment of bills for manifest number 14.
Manifest 14 in the amount of $610,524.26 has been reviewed by the Victor Town Board with the following accounts charged: General Townwide, General Outside Village, Parkland Trust Fund, Highway Townwide, the lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Coil Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lay, and Legacy at the Fairways, S&S Consolidated Sewer Fund, and Trust and Agency.
Thank you. In keeping with our transparency that we started a few years ago with Supervisor Maron, he likes to point out a few of the expenditures that are in the range of or exceed $5,000. As you can see, Bluestone Creek Development, our August rent for Parks and Rec, $11,562.50. The pipeline payment for Pump Station 7, $42,615.30. Guardian Insurance for August Dental, $5,081.40. Harris Beach June Legal Services of $30,996. with chargebacks of $7,234, cost of the town of $23,762. The permanent radar signs, which I think, by the way, are excellent, $25,260. To J.C. Smith, LaBella Associates for the professional services for June of $37,668.20. Charged back to developers of $12,658.75. Cost to the town, $25,009.45. General Lewis Tires for the highway vehicles of $8,649.19. MVP Health for employees and retirees for August, $75,373.30. To the Controller's Office, their June court fees of $16,337.50. And then we split a trailer with the village of $7,515. The cost of the town was $37,5750. And our June townwide gas and electric for June for RG&E was $10,663.29. And of course, the roads, townwide road services with Suitcoat, $578.63. Those above expenditures are $541,300.31. Subtract that out of the other expenditures, and the town's expenditures were $69,223.95. If there are no questions, I would entertain a motion to accept that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Tonight, we have two privileges of the floor, and we will start with Sean McAdoo with the Victor Fire Department, and Pete is also here from the Fishers Fire Association, and we're talking about the tax incentive that the state has adopted and the town is considering for our volunteer firefighters.
Thank you for the chance. Again, I'm Sean Macco, Victor Fire Department. Pete Marasco from Fishers Fire Association. I'm tongue-tied already. We know you've talked about this before informally. We wanted to have a chance to talk a little more about it and give you the information you need so that as you talk to residents in anticipation of a coming public hearing, you can answer some common questions we've run into already. Program for the volunteer firefighter and ambulance worker partial tax exemption, it's a mouthful as well, is similar to the veterans exemptions. The idea is to give a 10% exemption off the eligible training eligible volunteers. Some of the first questions always come up. This is for their primary residences. This is only for those residents or those volunteers who meet the eligibility and live in the fire district that they are serving in. So for example, if I was to move out of the Victor Fire District and live in the Fishers Fire District, I could not claim an exemption. I have to reside in that fire district I'm volunteering for. You have to meet the eligibility standards every year for 20 years. After you get to the 20-year mark, you're eligible to become a permanent exemption that goes with the property. As long as I stay in that property and remain there, after those 20 years, I get the 10%. In addition, if upon my passing or the volunteer's passing, it would extend to any unmarried spouses living in the same home. And the idea to recognize that obviously families make sacrifices as well. So the spouses have to put up with us running away and all sorts of times, days and nights. So if you put up with that for 20 years and we pass on, you'll have the chance for that benefit as well. Next question comes up about eligibility. Victor Fire Department, we chose to mirror the LoSAP standard. LoSAP's been established by state law since the mid-90s as a length of service award program that gives a base minimum standard of considered active. It's been tried and true through the courts and through these pension records, so it's a generally accepted standard. We've mirrored it almost to the exact point. Fisher's status is?
We're in the process of just getting started. We're behind Sean and Victor. We're going to have some meetings coming up soon with the district to lay out what we're going to do, and basically it's going to be almost the exact same thing. We're going to mirror our LoSAP program for eligibility. And once the district decides to go ahead and pass the resolution, then we'll be in line with hopefully your resolution to adopt the program.
So eligibility is based up by the Home Department. That's one of the obligations that have to be done by the Home Department every year to verify back to the assessor's office that the member has met those points standings. So the Other question comes up. You get a 10% tax reduction from the property taxes. What about the tax levy? This does not reduce the overall tax levy. So if the town passes this, the tax levy does not go down by whatever that portion goes down. The difference that's made up would have to be made up with the remaining tax parcels. So it's all a factor of how many people might be eligible for the program. I've gone through the roster for Victor. At best, we're looking at maybe 20 individuals. It's probably even closer to 15. We have a couple who get the veterans exemption now, and they can't do both, so they probably won't go for that sort of thing. Fishers preliminary?
Fishers, we're sitting at about 10 volunteers that could possibly take advantage of this program.
So the important thing to remember is it takes 2 years to get there. So a person in today, you have to give 2 years of eligible service to start getting credit for that. So it takes a time to catch up. As far as the ambulance, I'd reach out to the ambulance. There's no hard and fast numbers that they have. They don't have as many volunteers. I'm thinking there might be 1 or 2 perhaps who might get this as well. So I can't speak directly for that, but there's not a lot with there.
John, you mentioned in eligibility-wise, you have to live in your district. It's kind of a, unique thing here, 1 town, 2 departments. So it's unfortunate, from what you're saying, that some of your members that live in the Fishers district, even though they're within the town of Victor, would be excluded from this. And there's no way around that.
There is none. They were very hard and
Oh,
fast.
that's too
with
bad.
It is. And I think the idea was to discourage people, volunteers volunteering in other towns as a way of getting around this program. I think that was the idea, if I read everything properly, but I'm not 100% sure. That is definitely a hole. The other thing that comes up is right now, there is for all volunteer firefighters, you can get a $200 income tax credit off your state taxes. You can't take the income tax credit and take the property tax. That's a challenge. There was a motion in the state budget this year to eliminate that restriction. That did not pass. We hope in the future, based on what I'm reading from FASNY, that they're hoping to continue to push on that so that you can get both. Which is interesting from our standpoint. It's all about cost, and we don't have numbers for you today because I don't want to lead you on with any false numbers per se. You know the median price of a house is about $287,000. You can do the math for 10% reduction off taxes from there. But it depends how many people will be in the program, how much this would be cost. We'll get to that at another point. For it to be beneficial for somebody in a median price home or less, the town, the fire district, and hopefully then the school and the county would have to approve it for that $200 threshold to be met, to be honest. That depends on the house. Houses that are over the median of $287,000, they could get by with, let's just say, if the town and the county and the fire district pass it, they should be able to get that credit and get more of a benefit. Again, individual people are going to make their individual choices as time goes on, which makes being hard and fast with numbers a challenge as well. The other part is, and you already know this, but each municipality has the right to decide if they want to participate in this program as it is. It doesn't mean that if one says no, the rest won't have a chance. It's each based on their taxes. So for example, Victor Fire District and the Village of Victor have already had their public hearings, already approved that. The volunteers of the fire department in Victor, and especially live in the village, they'll get that benefit. Obviously, working with you here. Fishers is just starting this process now. They'll get up to speed, figure out which direction they're going to go. I've been working with Supervisor Marin to get through the county. We're trying to figure out, last I understood, which committee it gets to start from. We're not sure if it's supposed to go to public safety or ways and means or what have you. So there's a little bit of that up in the air question. That was a month ago information that could have changed by now for me. And we have not yet discussed this with the school. That's our last piece. We'll get to that.
Biggest ticket.
That is exactly the point. And as I understand it, there's a slight different variance with the school, the way it's handled. It's through the STAR program as opposed to an actual exemption, which makes it even more complicated. And we thought it'd be better get it through the local level first, and then we can take on that challenge. So that's your basics of the program. Hopefully it gives you information to talk about it. The next steps from here is that I'm hoping that we had suggested resolution language sent on to the attorney for review. Hopefully that's coming down the pike. You would have to schedule a public hearing, like you do with all public hearings. That day we'll come up with firm numbers for you with what we think these projections will be. A short presentation so people from the public can hear what it is. And if you do that this summer, the benefit filing date is March 1st. So for the town's perspective, it will be for taxes levied after that, which means, from the volunteer perspective, if the town passes it this year, they'll get a benefit in the 2025 tax bill, because there's that delay. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's certainly, it's not an immediate thing to get through that process, as you know.
John, how does validation of, like, there's a number of hours they gotta put in? and It's not somebody just showing up to direct traffic twice a year.
No.
I
So
mean,
basically, there's like 5 or 6 categories. Calls, training, classes, they're considered separate. So Monday night training, which is going on right now, which we're missing right now in our departments. Darn. Hopefully they don't see that. Also going to state classes, different category, meetings, standbys, and then service to as elected position. So elected position gets points. And in each category, you can get a maximum of points. For the calls, you have to make 25% of the calls in order to get your full credit, and then you're maxed out at what that point is once you get those calls. And then each of the point totals will bring you up to a total that can get you to at least 50 points. Once you get 50 points total in each of those categories, you get your eligibility. So it's not meant to be, I only show for fire calls, therefore I get my credit. No, you got to do a little bit in everything, so you keep well-rounded. That's why it's been a successful program in the past.
And that mirrors with the LoSAP. That's
That's
essentially what
exactly
LoSAP is.
Yep, 100%.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
No, I brought this up before, and you guys know that. I think it's a great program. I think it's important. It'll help with retention, and that's one of the key things we're seeing across the board in all kinds of organizations where volunteerism is not, it's a struggle to get people to volunteer to do stuff. So this is important. It's important to the community, fully support it, so.
Yeah, I think the board is behind it. I think we're, moving in that direction. We appreciate you guys coming in tonight to talk about it.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Our next privilege of the floor, I'd invite Code Officer Adam Reisig come up to discuss the 6698 Richardson Road project that we're having so much fun with.
Evening, Adam Reisig, Code Enforcement, Town of Victor. The Code Enforcement Office has identified a structure at 6698 Richardson Road as unsafe and unfit for human occupancy, and per code section 83-9A, once identified, an inspection was conducted and a written report was provided to the town board, and I'm here just to see if you have any questions or concerns about that report.
No, I felt it was well done, very comprehensive. I followed the steps from the very beginning of the first neighbor complaint all the way through with the DEC and everybody else becoming involved. So I think we have a very clear picture of what was going on. So thank you for that.
Okay.
Mike, Drew, you guys okay?
No, we're good with it.
Align with, yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
I think the issue is, as we move forward, figuring things out, the cleanup, I drive by it every day, so, the DEC's been in there cleaning up the spills and moving forward, trying to find the owners, and, the county's got some work to do, and the town is doing their due diligence in response to the neighbors. And I think the neighbors have been very tolerant, I think, is a good way of putting it, because it's been a mess for a while. And I think, the other thing that they're looking into is some of the leach area in the back of that pond that may be contaminated, but they're on top of it. They're doing what they're supposed to do for public safety and public service. And I think, this is not over with by any stretch of the imagination, as the agencies between the county, the town, the DEC iron things out and find out, what's going to go down. But it is definitely an unsafe structure and it needs to come down.
Adam, if I may, is it your office's recommendation that the house should be demolished and removed?
So we haven't made a recommendation to that effect. I think in order to make a firm decision on that, we would want a structural engineer, to review the structure and say that it was irreparable. I I do think that the extent of the damage that we witnessed as code enforcement officers, and now, with the compromised septic system due to the, contamination from the fuel oil spill and the demolition work that the DEC has done, the cost to repair the building would be significant, and demolition would probably be more feasible.
So in addition, would you also gather like estimates of what it would cost to demolish and remove the house?
If the town board wishes, I could do that.
Because the way the process works under Section 83 is that you submit a report, you make a recommendation to the board then passes a resolution either saying it should be repaired or removed. And then on 5 days' notice, it schedules a hearing for the property owners to come in and respond to that.
Correct.
But then, after that hearing's completed, the demolition or repair has to start within 30 days of that hearing being completed, and completed within 60 days. So I would suspect that if the ultimate recommendation is to demolish and remove it, that the town board would want to know what the estimated cost of that will be, because the town will incur that cost. And that you have the forces marshaled to get it done within that 60-day period of time as set forth in the code. So I guess timing would be an important factor here as well. And then what would happen is those costs, the town would be able to place a lien on the property to recover those costs upon the sale of the property. And one of the challenges, as I understand it, is the county, what all instigated was the tax liens the county had on the property, and their attempt to foreclose on those liens kind of triggered all this. So there will be an effort to work with the county to make sure our lien is on equal basis with theirs. So, but I just wanted to go through the steps for, if you guys
So
did not.
basically, the county is responsible for selling it, if they claim it?
Well, if it's demolished and removed, now this is all subject to DEC completing its own cleanup. And
Right.
DEC's conducting that cleanup at the state cost. So there's a whole nother state aspect. The state has the ability to lien the property for those costs, and that lien will take priority over the county and the town. And then they can sue the property owners to recover those costs, as the town can do as well. But these property owners, as I
Yeah.
understand, are long gone.
Yeah, they're transient. I mean, I think what'll happen is, I think ultimately, the liens will be more expensive than what the value of the property.
Yeah, I mean, after it's remediated by DEC and the structure removed, then it's just, what's the value of a vacant land that has been previously remediated? So that's not going to be a great value yet, I agree.
Yeah.
So there are many steps that have to be taken before action can be had, and I think an estimated cost of what it will the estimate of what it will cost to demolish and remove this thing, and also the timing of it because of the schedule set forth in our town code.
I think DEC can mandate removal of the structure for remediation first, or they can't do that?
They're
It's going to
looking,
be our nickel no matter
But
what.
Mike, we did, I believe Adams' office talked to DC, and, because I was concerned about coordinating the demolition with their active remediation, but it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that DC is fine if we demolished the building and removed it while they were undertaking their cleanup.
my take from the DEC is that they're gonna remediate the oil spill no matter what, because that's what they have to do, but it would be, less of a burden to them financially if the structure was removed, because the contamination's under the dirt floor of the foundation, so,
So they would actually welcome us demolishing this structure.
Yeah.
yeah,
Make
initially,
their efforts easier.
before they got as deep into the project as they were, that was their first request, but due to, the legal process of that, they needed to act, so they started their methods the best of their abilities. So they are close to the foundation now, so they can't continue without compromising the structure.
As far as your recommendation or the potential consideration for a structural engineer to take a look at that, I mean, is that a process that we would have to undertake prior to executing the demolition, or the process to demolish it, or can we just proceed with the process to demolish?
I'm just trying to be responsible in my recommendation, and my personal opinion, my personal feelings would to recommend demolish, but if a structural engineer was to go in there and say, the structure of this home, the bones of this home are fine, it's, all cosmetic, it could be repaired. I'm just not a structural engineer to make that kind of decision. There's not enough structural members exposed to say, definitely, if.
So Wes, does Labella have someone on staff that is a structural engineer?
We've got structural engineers and architects.
I mean, just assess whether, particularly in light of what DEC will be doing out there.
Right.
Yeah, I think we probably have the resources for that.
You know those engineers, though, they can fix anything, I think, so.
I think DEC would prefer if we did this.
I do too, and I think the other thing,
And I think the neighbors would prefer that.
neighbors
too.
would too, and I think the other thing is, obviously, we'd put that demolition out to bid and all that too, so.
I think they stated the way I saw it is they say, they indicate that the structure needs to come down for complete remediation, but they would take it as far as they could do until it was settled on what was done with the structure.
Yeah, so they have ways to get it out without demolishing, but they're time consuming.
Extremely expensive and it's wet underneath
expensive.
and-
Yes.
Where do you guys have to go and dig out the basement?
Deputy Supervisor, would just clarify, you certainly have the right to take this out to bid, your discretion.
Yeah, right.
But you're not required to take it out of bid because it would be considered an emergency situation.
Sure.
But you certainly have the discretion to take it out to bid.
Refresh my memory, Mark, I should remember this. Did we demolish the property when we bought the 6 acres over on Brace Road? Did we do that ourselves, or did we farm that out?
No, we did it ourselves.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
So,
I would
yeah,
caution in light of the contamination, whether you want to have town
I don't think that's a good idea.
people doing that. I mean, you might be able to, but I would just be
you
cautious.
certainly want to have people on site that are DEC, yeah. So I appreciate you coming before us and making it public, the concerns that we have for that property on Richardson Road, because something's going to happen with it sooner than later, so, and I think.
Could we take action tonight to pending the evaluation of a Labella?
I think our action tonight would be to just ask Wes to, let's work with Adam and let's get a structural engineer if we can. I mean, I don't even know if we can go in the property, but, talk to Kim and Adam, find out what we can do at this point, and then report back to Jack, and Jack can report back to the board and keep Frank in the loop and figure out where we're going with this.
Yeah, you'll have to come back, if the decision is to repair or demolish, you'll have to come back to the town board, so the town board can pass a resolution authorizing that. And then we have the 5-day notice for a hearing, and then, I'm assuming the property owners will never
Take it
show
down.
up.
I think so.
We have to have a public hearing to take it down?
It's a hearing, it's not a public
Yeah.
hearing. It's a hearing to provide the property owners an opportunity to come in and object or oppose, but that's unlikely to happen since they seem to be long gone.
Yeah. Any other questions at this point? Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
At this time, I would open up our board meeting to any public comments and concerns. Anyone from the public is welcome to come forward and speak. I'd ask you to introduce yourself and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Sure. I'm George Haltz, a Victor resident for about 30 years. I'm also the board chairman of the Fisher Fire District Board of Commissioners. I'm here really to support the presentation that happened a few minutes ago, both personally as well as a commissioner. So I think it's a great idea for the town to consider it. The Fisher Fire District will also similarly be looking at a resolution in regard to the Fisher's district taxes. So, thank you for your time.
Very good, thank you. Is there anyone else that cares to come and speak before us? Okay. Moving on to reports of town officials, pretty condensed package as always. So we've got notes there from Economic Development, Finance, again, is always good to see that. Highway's been busy in between our thunder and lightning and washouts and everything else, have been moving along very well. But Bet's had a busy month in the historian office, IT as always. Sheriffs have been very busy, increasing the road patrol, as I get numerous complaints that there's cops sitting all over the place now in the town of Victor, which is what our intent was, to have people slow down. So it's good to see that with their report. Parks and Rec has had a wonderful summer with the concert series and and we're moving tonight on some resolutions, is the dog park is moving along pretty nicely. And the fire department, of course, Victor Fire Department had a report, and I just wondered if anybody from the town board had any comments or needed to add anything to anything that they've been working on.
I just wanted to make comment. I have been part of as just a resident enjoying it, and also, in official capacity at some of the town events that Brian has helped to coordinate over at Dry Road Park, Victor Municipal Park, and those music series evenings, the tacos and trails evenings on Tuesday, the special event with the bike jumping that they hosted last week. I mean, tremendously popular, wonderful weather, wonderful participation. We are already getting use of the 2 parking lot expansions, and it's great to see cars not parked out on the roadway. And I think all around, no matter kind of what component we're looking at, it's excellent work and excellent events, Brian.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got that. Very good. Anyone else?
Actually, Brian, I got a quick question for you on the municipal park, Paparone Park, right? The lighting that you're putting in obviously is specifically because of the new parking lot extension, right? Was there any thought or any discussion around increasing the lighting around the walkway coming out of the building there?
Yeah, we added a light right, integrated a light right by the transformer, right on the sidewalk.
Okay.
So there's two new parking lot lights in the corners of the parking lot where the expansion points were, and there's a third light that's added right at the curb cut, if you will, to the sidewalk to the lodge.
Good.
So
Yeah, because we had mentioned that a long time ago, and I don't know if it got included. I just want to.
I got it, and
Okay.
I made sure it happened.
Thank you.
Anyone
And-
else?
Just real quickly, tomorrow night, the Victor Fire Department District is starting their budget process, just so you guys know, for next year.
Yeah, 'tis the season, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to believe it's here almost now. All right, we'll move on to the resolution portion of our meeting at this time. Resolution number 1 is the authorization to proceed with the further plans for the cost of improvements to the Victor Consolidated Sewer District. And this is going to be a roll call vote, just so that you know. Do I have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
All right,
Deputy Supervisor Condon.
yes?
Councilman Kohovic.
Yes.
Councilman Guinan.
Yes.
Councilman Kuzamano.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution number 2 is bond for our pump station improvements. Again, we've worked hard to continue to provide good service, and real happy with the improvements that we've made, and we're going to continue with that. This is also a roll call vote. I need a motion to approve this.
So moved?
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Condon.
Yes?
Councilman Kohovic.
Yes.
Councilman Guinan.
Yes.
Councilman Kuzamano.
Yes.
Resolution number 3. This is to appoint Stacy Preston as a part-time transfer station account clerk, as Kelly Kubinski has now moved over to the courts, and this Stacy will be there to help with Casey's needs. And
So moved?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Very happy to see resolution number 4. Always willing to accept some grants for adaptive and inclusive parks and recreation programming. Brian's always been a great supporter of this, and as the town has been supportive as well. And we've got a $10,000 donation that we need to accept with a resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to resolution number 5. This is the bid award for contracts 1 and 3 on the dog park project. And I'm sure Brian's happy to get this rolling. There's been a lot of work put into this for quite a while now, and we're starting to see some things come to fruition. So looking for a resolution on resolution number 5.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
After the public hearing was closed to accept the uniform construction codes, resolution number 6 just makes this official so that we will change them and we'll fall into compliance with the some of the new resolutions from the state.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
This is also a roll call.
Deputy Supervisor Condon.
Yes.
Councilman Kohovic.
Yes.
Councilman Guinan.
Yes.
Councilman Kusimano.
Yes.
Very good. Resolution number 7, after the public hearing on the Conifer Village at Eastview Mall, the PDD, we saw the plans, we saw the changes that were made, and I think the board was appreciative of that. And is this a roll call too, as well? So I need a motion on this.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Deputy Supervisor Condon.
Yes.
Councilman Kohovic.
Yes.
Councilman Guinan.
Yes.
Councilman Kusimano.
Yes.
And our last two resolutions, can we bundle them, or do we have to do those separately? Do them separate?
Yeah.
Okay. So number 8 is for the Hanson Mine Permit Renewal, even though they kind of go hand in hand. We'll do them separately.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is it still, for just terminology, is it still Hanson or is it now Heidelberg?
It's both. It's Hanson, it's Heidelberg Hanson.
Heidelberg Materials Northeast NY LLC.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
And resolution number 9, this is Saragusa Mine Permit for their renewal as well.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. And at this time, I would open up the meeting to any other additional public comment. If anybody has anything they'd like to address the board? All set, Dave? All right, I will entertain a motion then to adjourn.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, we are adjourned.
Sorry.
Guys are talking. Frank. Like with
90 was ready to stand up, and then he sat back down.
that's